Deep within the forest, far from the flickering fires of the village, a ring of hooded figures gathered beneath ancient trees. The clearing was silent but alive, pulsing with unseen energy, the very soil humming with a low, sacred resonance. They stood on holy ground, the place where Naraka had revealed himself, where fire had kissed earth and the veil between worlds had thinned. Even now, his essence lingered in the air. None of the figures spoke for a time. Then, one lowered his hood. "How is it going with Shumba?" His voice was smooth, but beneath it was iron. Command, urgency. His name was Koza, whispered among the ancient circles as Koza the Star-Seer, a demigod born beneath the veil of light, touched by the fires of the heavens and the wisdom of the old mountains. Raya turned to face him, her own hood slipping off her head. The moonlight kissed her cheekbones. She was tired, but sharp. "I'm still working on him. He's guarded, suspicious, but he listens." Koza's face darkened. "Then make him do more than listen. We do not have time." The others murmured. The pressure was mounting. "We have only 7 days." Koza stepped forward. 7, Raya. And the stars will align, straight across the belt of the sky, as foretold in the Book of Sight. He raised a hand, tracing the air with a line of light, mimicking the alignment. When the line of God is formed, and the 3 heavenly fires cross over the gate of smoke, the heavens will open. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the portal to the throne room of the Divine One will awaken. "And then it will shut," another added, voice grim, "and may not open again for another millennia, or never." You are watching the Tales of the Savannah. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now let's get back to the story. Koza nodded. "We must be ready. But opening that gate will take more power than even we possess, more than ancient blood, more than forbidden chance." He looked at Raya. "We need Naraka." The word dropped like thunder. "He is the only god who still walks this earth. He is fire. He is force. His power alone can tear open the veil. But we must harness it." Raya's jaw clenched. She had heard this before. She had agreed. But every time Koza spoke of it, she felt the ground tilt beneath her feet. "We will not summon him as beggars," Koza continued. "We will bind his essence into a vessel, an object, a ring, a stone, a blade. It doesn't matter. Something that will let us channel his fire again and again, anywhere, any time. And for that, we need Shumba." He walked toward her now, eyes boring into hers. "The gods don't speak to us anymore, not since the last rebellion. They speak only to the chosen," he hissed the word. "And Shumba is chosen. So convince him." Raya's lips parted. "He's afraid of Naraka. He doesn't want to summon him again." Koza smiled coldly. "Then push him, seduce him, break him. If you must offer yourself to Shumba, do it. This is bigger than your pride, Raya." He leaned closer. "This is bigger than all of us." The others nodded in silence. Koza turned and looked up at the sky, where the stars had already begun to shift, a slow dance of divine geometry unfolding above them. 7 days, Raya. And then it will be too late. If Shumba does not call him, he turned back to her, eyes gleaming, we will force Naraka to come, even if it breaks the earth open. Raya said nothing, but in her eyes was a flicker of conflict, of ambition, of something ancient and dangerous awakening inside her. She had come with a plan, but now even she wasn't sure if she was still the one in control. Chipo sat still by the river, her knees pulled to her chest, her chin resting against them. The water moved gently, whispering its ancient songs across the surface. But today, even the river could not calm what raged inside her. She didn't sob, not loudly. The tears came quietly, slipping down her cheeks like traitors escaping in the night. Her breath hitched now and again, her chest tightening under the weight of everything she didn't know how to say anymore. Her words from earlier echoed in her ears, sharp, bitter, wild things she had unleashed in anger. She had watched them land like spears in her father's heart. She had seen it in his eyes, the confusion, the sadness, the ache. She hadn't meant to hurt him, but she had. And maybe a part of her had wanted to. For years she had chased after his shadow, trying to mold herself into something he would recognize, into something he would value, strong, brave, resilient, like a son. She remembered being little, running barefoot after him, asking to hold his axe. "You'll hurt yourself," he had said with a laugh. "Go help your mother." She had laughed too, but it had cut deep. And every year after, the same thing. "No, Chipo, that's not for girls. No, Chipo. Leave that to the men." Until one day, she stopped asking. She just started doing. Listening in on strategy, talks she wasn't invited to. Making up her own missions, her own plans, just to prove she could. To someone. To him. But it had never worked. Not the way she wanted it to. Because she was not the son he had hoped for. She was just Chipo, a girl. And now she didn't know who she was trying to become anymore. The fight in her felt cracked. Her dreams, those grand, noble dreams of becoming something like him, something worthy, suddenly felt like they didn't fit her skin. They sagged around her like old armor, too heavy, too big. Maybe she had been foolish, maybe she had been wrong. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, but the tears kept coming. The sound of footsteps on the grass didn't register at first. She was too deep in it, drowning in it. But then, something shifted. She looked up. Jabali was standing a few steps away, watching her. He looked unsure, like he had come to say something but didn't know what the right words were. She wiped her face again and looked away. He didn't speak. He just came and sat down beside her. Not close, but close enough. The silence between them was thick, but not uncomfortable, just full. Full of things they hadn't said in years. Full of things they might never say properly. After a long while, Chipo whispered, "Did you ever wish I was a boy?" Jabali closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "Yes," he said honestly. "I did." She flinched. "But not because I didn't want you, Chipo. Never that. I just..." He looked down at his hands. "I didn't know how to be the kind of father a daughter needed. I only knew how to be one to a son." Jabali knew this was no time for lies or flattery. Chipo deserved the truth if there was to be any genuine reconciliation. "You tried harder than I did," Jabali said softly. "And I should have told you years ago. You were already enough." She blinked fast, her vision blurring. Her shoulders trembled. "I didn't know you needed me to say it. I didn't know you needed to hear it," Jabali continued. "And I didn't know how to see you, really see you, until today. I'm sorry, Chipo." There was a long silence. Then she leaned against him, her father. Not because everything had been fixed, not because everything had been forgiven, but because something had broken open between them, and maybe, just maybe, something new could grow in that space. The river kept whispering beside them, and for the first time in a long time, Chipo let herself be. Not the son, not the warrior, just Chipo. And it was enough. Then Jabali cleared his throat quietly. "I have a present for you," he said softly. Chipo looked up, eyes narrowing with curiosity. "A present," he nodded. Then, without another word, he stood up and disappeared into the trees. She sat there, blinking, unsure what to make of this sudden departure. Part of her wondered if he was just giving her space, or if this was a very delayed punishment. But then she heard the soft rustling of leaves. Jabali returned, walking slowly, carefully, carrying something in a wooden box. Chipo sat up straighter. He placed the box in front of her and knelt beside it. "Go on," he said. "Open it." Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the lid, heart pounding with anticipation. She lifted it, slowly. And there, curled up inside the box, blinking up at her with soft, sleepy eyes, was a small, furry creature. A dog. A little, scruffy, warm-bodied, tail-wagging puppy. Chipo gasped. Her hands flew to her mouth. "Father," she whispered, "I thought you said I couldn't have one." I did, Jabali said, his voice gentle. I see the error in my ways. You should have one. She reached into the box and lifted the pup, holding her against her chest as the tiny creature wriggled and snuggled close, already trusting, already home. What's her name? Chipo asked, barely able to contain the joy in her voice. Well, Jabali smiled, she's yours now. You can call her whatever you want. She's a she? Yes. Chipo looked at the puppy, her heart full in a way she hadn't expected. Oh, Father. I'm going to love her so much. I don't doubt it, Jabali said. Not for a second. The two of them sat there in silence, the puppy nestled between them, the sun beginning its slow descent through the trees. In that quiet, in that simplicity, they found something sacred, common ground. Chipo didn't need to be a son. Jabali didn't need to be perfect. And maybe, just maybe, saying no all the time wasn't the right thing to do. Yes, he thought to himself, watching the way Chipo cradled her new companion. Once in a while, yes is the right answer. And for the first time in a long while, they both smiled. From the same place. From the heart. Kitapo skipped through the trees with a smile so wide, it threatened to split her cheeks. Mother, she called out, as she spotted Akina in their secret spot deep in the forest. Akina turned and smiled warmly, arms already open. Kitapo leapt into them like a child and hugged her tightly. Well, don't keep me guessing, Akina teased. Tell me, what happened at the wedding? Oh, a lot, Kitapo said. I met somebody. I think I met somebody. Mother, he is so charming. Her voice went dreamy. Akina's smile softened. She remembered that feeling, the butterflies, the heat, the ridiculous things you say when your heart forgets how to behave. She leaned in with interest. Tell me everything. Kitapo plopped down dramatically. Where do I even start? The beginning sounds like a great place to start. Akina smiled. Kitapo started telling the story. Akina gasped. Kitapo! I know, Kitapo wailed, throwing her hands in the air. And then Kitapo continued as if she was giving the performance of her life. Akina laughed until she had to wipe tears from her eyes. So what happened then? Kitapo continued, her movements exaggerated. Akina was wheezing from laughter. These mother-daughter moments were magic. Kitapo finally sighed and sat down, exhausted. I hope he still likes me. Oh, darling, he'd be a fool not to, Akina said, brushing her cheek. Kitapo smiled shyly. Her mother always knew what to say to her. So, did you see anyone at the wedding? Dancing with your father? Kitapo raised a brow. Why? No reason, Akina said far too quickly. Kitapo looked at Akina. You still love him, don't you? Kitapo, Akina shouted. Kitapo laughed. Before she could say something, she heard it. A horn echoed from the river. Kitapo jumped to her feet. That's the royal visitor horn, Akina blinked. There's a horn for that? Yes, I have to go, Mother, Kitapo said, already darting away. It's probably him, Akina smiled knowingly. I'll see you next week. Yes, Mother, she called, disappearing between the trees. Back at the palace gates, Kitapo stood beside Lulenga, still out of breath from her run. Lulenga looked her way. How is Akina? Kitapo's brows lifted. How do you know I was with her? I'm the king. I know everything. You meet her every Thursday, he said with that smug royal grin. She's fine. She may have asked about you. She did? Lulenga straightened, eyes gleaming. What did she ask? Well, Kitapo began, she asked if you danced with anyone at the wedding. Lulenga gasped. How did she ask? Like, curiously or concerned? I don't know, Father. I didn't bring a lie detector. Kitapo, he hissed. Was it a tender curiosity or a jealous curiosity? Why do you care so much, Father? Kitapo asked suspiciously. I don't, Lulenga shot back between gritted teeth. Well, good for you, Father. Kitapo had no time for this. She was ready to make a good second impression. Before she could answer, the chariot doors opened, and everything paused. Mwamba's eyes widened. Kitapo's jaw dropped. Mami Wata, Lulenga whispered. The legendary queen of the deep glided like a living myth, tall, poised, dressed in shimmering scales and silks that danced in the wind like sea foam. Lulenga straightened immediately, trying to act like he hadn't been gushing over a kina 2 seconds ago. Mami Wata, he said, bowing. It's a pleasure to welcome you into my kingdom. Thank you, Lulenga, she said, in a voice that could seduce thunder. And this must be Kitapo. Kitapo stood frozen, mouth slightly open. Does it speak? Mami Wata asked, raising an eyebrow. She does, Lulenga answered with a grin. Kitapo finally remembered how to breathe. You're... Welcome, Mami Wata, she said, her voice more like a whisper, bowing so low she nearly folded in half. Mami Wata smiled and turned to Lulenga. I've come to speak with you. In private. Of course, Lulenga said, glancing at Mwamba like help me, but Mwamba shrugged. As the doors shut behind them, Kitapo spun to Mwamba, nearly bursting. She called me it. Did you hear it? Does it speak? Oh my stars, she's perfect. I want to be her when I grow up. Do you think she'll take an apprentice? Does she do apprentices? What if I just walk into her room and kneel and ask her to be my master? Mwamba stared at her. She's not a wizard, Kitapo, she's a queen. Same thing, Kitapo said, eyes twinkling. She turned back toward the closed doors and sighed. This is one of the greatest days of my life. Can I offer you something to drink? Lulenga asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Mami Wata turned slightly, her posture regal and unshaken. Yes, she said softly. He moved over to the small wooden table, his fingers fumbling slightly as he reached for the carved goblet. He poured the drink, trying not to glance at her too quickly, but something about the stillness in the room made his heart knock against his ribs. She waited, not with anxiety, but with command, and when he turned to hand her the drink, she spoke. I do not want to waste your time. Her voice was clear, firm, no tremor, no hesitation. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm here, so I'll tell you plainly. I am here with a proposal. Lulenga blinked. A proposal, he repeated. Mami Wata nodded slowly, never breaking eye contact. Yes, a proposal of marriage. Between you and me. Silence. The goblet nearly slipped from his hand. His mouth opened, but words didn't come. His eyes were wide, searching her face for mischief, for jest, but there was none. I have heard whispers that you are looking for a wife, she continued, and I, as it turns out, am looking for a husband. A union of convenience, a perfect union. You are a king without an heir, I am a queen without a successor. You have a daughter you love, but your people have made it clear. She cannot rule. And I... She paused, just enough for the silence to stretch. I am offering you 2 heirs, a boy for your line, a girl for mine, an heir for each legacy. She bowed her head slightly. This is my offer. Lulenga's heart thundered in his chest. It felt like a divine moment, a solution wrapped in silk and certainty. Everything the elders had nagged him about, everything the council had begged him to do. And here it was, packaged in power and beauty. But, what about Ziva? He asked, almost hesitating to say the name. Mami Wata tilted her head. What about him? You and he had an understanding, she finished. But Ziva is now a married man, and I am a queen. I choose my path. He doesn't. Lulenga tried to swallow, but his throat was dry. Mami Wata stepped closer. And I know, she said, her voice lowering to a personal whisper, that your heart belongs to another. His chest seized. Akina, she said plainly. No venom, just truth. Kitapo's mother, the village woman who haunts your dreams. I know. Lulenga gasped, his lips parting in disbelief. How? It's my business to know. And I'm not here to take your heart, Lulenga. I'm here to take your hand. This union will serve us both. I will love who I love. You will love who you love. No demands, no illusions. Just legacy, just power, just the future secured. She stepped back. Her words had wrapped around the room like a storm cloud. She had spoken. She had offered. She had made her terms painfully, beautifully clear. Lulenga tried to gather his thoughts, but they were scattered like leaves in a river. I need to speak with Ziva, just to... Mami Wata's eyes narrowed just slightly. Ziva is not my father. He is not my king. You do not need his permission. I make my own choices. I always have. He swallowed. She straightened her shoulders. Do you accept this arrangement? Her gaze was calm, fierce, unshakable. If you need time to think, fine, but not long. One night, one. I want your answer tomorrow. She didn't wait for him to speak. She turned, her silks flowing like water, like power incarnate. She walked toward the exit without so much as a glance behind her. She knew who she was. She knew what she had offered. And she knew only a fool would say no. The door closed softly behind her, but its echo thundered in Lulenga's mind. That night, the village of Makuru slumbered. At Jabali's homestead, all was still. Jabali lay deep in sleep, one arm curled protectively around Akina. Chipo slept near, curled beside her little dog, whose ears twitched every now and then at the slightest sound. It was a perfect silence, until it wasn't. Akina's eyes snapped open, not from a sound, not from movement, from something else. An unseen thread pulled at her spirit. Her limbs moved of their own accord. She rose slowly, walked barefoot through the darkened hut and opened the door without a sound. The air was sharp with mist. The trees loomed in shadow. At the edge of the homestead, beneath a fig tree, they waited. 3 women, still as stone, cloaked in garments that shimmered like oil-slicked feathers, their eyes glowing ever so slightly in the dark, moonless though the night was. One of them stepped forward, an older woman with silver braided into her hair and black markings running down her neck like vines. "Akina," she said, voice calm but echoing with ancient weight. "It is good to see you." Akina blinked. Something in her body remembered before her mind did. The sisterhood. She gasped, the trance breaking as memory clawed its way into her consciousness. She staggered backward. She knew who they were, knew the stories, knew what their presence meant. "No," she whispered. The older woman stepped forward. "Yes, it is time." Akina shook her head, dread clenching around her ribs. "Your daughter Chipo is nearing the passage. On the next full moon, she will bleed. And when she does, the bond must be passed on." Akina's eyes filled with tears. "She's just a child." The second witch, younger, spoke now, her voice softer but just as certain. "So were you, when you were hidden." The older witch nodded. "Your mother broke the line when she concealed you in the forest, hid you from us, hid you from your own power. She knew the truth. If you remained untouched until your moon blood came, you would have been marked. The torch would have passed to you, and the sisterhood would have reclaimed its legacy. But she chose otherwise." Akina's breath caught. She remembered the cold eyes of the couple who found her in that forest, their harsh discipline, their impatience, how they'd married her off young, before she ever had a choice. Her mother had done it, to protect her, by making sure she was no longer untouched, to save her from the sisterhood. It had been a cruel life, but she had survived it. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered. "None of us do," the third witch said, stepping forward. She was younger still, her eyes hauntingly familiar. "But our blood is bound to it, and your bloodline owes the sisterhood a daughter." The older witch's voice returned, more forceful now. "We were promised Kitapo. She was to carry the torch. But we cannot touch her. She belongs to the deep. So we take the second, your second-born, Chipo." Akina stared at them, unable to speak. The oldest one continued. "You have seen what to do. We have sent the dreams. You will prepare her. You will guide her. You will anoint her when the time comes. You know the rites, even if you pretend not to. It is written in your bones, Akina. passed from mother to daughter since the first breath of our line. Akina was now shaking. "And if I refuse?" Akina asked, her voice trembling. "Then the blood will take her in other ways. The gift unwelcomed becomes a curse." The elder's voice was cold, final. "You delay and you will lose her, body, mind, and soul." The trees seemed to sigh around them. The night thickened. The wind carried a low hum, a chant perhaps, faint, like something remembered in the womb. "We will return. When the moon is full, make her ready." Akina could not move, could not breathe, and in the blink of an eye, they vanished, gone, as if they had never been. Only the wind remained, and Akina, alone now, stood frozen at the edge of the world she thought she had escaped. But the past had come knocking, and it wanted her daughter. And that, my dear tribe, brings us to the end of another thrilling chapter in our Mermaids, Lion People and Witches series. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did. In this week's episode, the Lion People have gathered deep within the forest, where the spirit of Naraka stirs among the trees. They can feel his powerful energy pulsing through the earth. Now the question is, will Raya persuade Shumba to summon Naraka, or will they have to force his hand? Elsewhere, Chipo wrestles with the weight of her confrontation with her father. Sadness lingers, yet there's a sense of relief too. For once, she spoke her truth. Then, Jabali and Chipo reach a heartfelt understanding, and Chipo receives an unexpected gift, a fairy creature, a loyal friend in the form of a dog. In another part of the forest, Akina and Kitapo meet in their secret spot. Kitapo, ever the storyteller, reenacts her encounter with Tuhaka at the wedding in grand, dramatic fashion, much to Akina's amusement. But their laughter is cut short by the sounding of an urgent horn. A royal visitor approaches. It is none other than Mami Wata. She brings a bold proposal for Lulenga, marriage, unity, and strength. But will Lulenga accept, or will he first seek counsel with Ziva in secret? As night falls, danger creeps closer. The witches come for Chipo. We discover that Akina's mother, herself a witch, once protected her daughter from the witches' claim. But now, the witches have returned, demanding what they believe is owed. A daughter from each bloodline. And this time they intend to take Chipo. What will happen next, we'll just have to wait and see. Until then, stay wild, stay curious, and stay ready for what's to come. A heartfelt thank you to Angel, a dear friend of the channel, for the generous $5 super thanks. Last week, we celebrated the tales of the savannah turning 2 years old, and Angel's message truly touched me. Happy birthday. Here's to you and the amazing stories that keep me on the edge of my seat. I am always excited to see a post, to get another piece of the fantasy. Thank you, Angel, for your support, your kind words, and for being part of this magical journey. May the gods you revere bless you abundantly, and to the entire tribe, thank you for your beautiful messages and warm wishes on our 2nd anniversary. You are the heartbeat of this channel. Your love, your energy, your excitement, it's what keeps Tales of the Savannah alive. I couldn't do this without you, thank you. Want to support the channel and become an even bigger part of our tribe? You can join for as little as the cost of a coffee each month. Your support helps me continue creating the content you love, but of course, just having you here is already more than enough. Thank you for being part of this journey. To those of you who have already joined the tribe, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are truly the heartbeat of this channel. And as always, thank you for watching our story, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching the Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time in the Savannah.